How's it going? This is Dylan.
This is Leslie.
And this is Mascara in the car. We are still traveling through cornfields.
Kentucky.
Somewhere. And today we want to talk about another kind of fundamental important key to being successful in business. And this one really extends, I think, further. And it's like
More like a life lesson.
An underlying level key thing.
Right.
That if you can get this, whether it's business or anything else, it's just such an important thing to know. And that's really self-confidence. Being confident that you're good at something.
Right. And it's something you constantly have to work on and build.
Right.
But you have to start and have self-confidence as a base of what you're doing.
Right. And so that means being self-confident in something means that you know that you're good at something.
Yep.
That you're confident that you know a thing, or that you're good at something. I was trying to think of stuff that I know that I'm really good at. For one thing, like for instance, business related in the guitar business, when somebody calls me and says, I want a certain sound, figuring out what they're really looking for. I know
that
communication factor. I know I'm really, really good at that. And I also know that I'm really good at extemporaneous speech, not having to have notes in front of me, doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
Not everybody's good at that. I know I'm really good at that. What are you really good at?
I would say communication is a good thing of mine.
Yep.
I can hear somebody tell me something and understand what they're really saying, if that makes sense, especially from a business perspective. I think I've always played kind of like the liaison, like, tell me what you're and I always tell you that even when we have conversations, like, think out loud so I can know where you're headed, so I can understand, you know what I mean? I tell you that a lot, to think out loud so that I can understand the conversation and figure out what's going on. So communication definitely is a strong suit. And then even being able to share information with somebody in a simple way that they can understand, I think.
And even these are pretty, the things that you and I are talking about right now are pretty deep concepts. Even if you had to go even more basic, like I think about, this is super off topic, not even to do with our business, but I'm really good at porting cylinder heads on motorcycles.
That was really real.
Well, and I say that on purpose because I'm a really good cook too. Like it doesn't have to start with these deep, like, principled things about who we are to start off some kind of self-confidence. It could be you're really good at something very simple, but that's okay. That's the first thing to start with, and start building from that.
Yes, I agree. And that's the thing. So starting, right?
Right.
You have to start. Even if you, you want to build self-confidence also. So let's say there's something that you need to do, and maybe you're not 100% confident in it yet, or confident in yourself in doing it. But until, you can never perfect something that you're not working on. So you have to take action, and you have to get started. You have to make that commitment.
You have to do it.
Yeah, because as you're doing it, then that fear, there's a balance, and that fear starts going away, and you become more self-confident in whatever action it is.
Right, because one of the things that we hear a lot is, well, I need to get good at that so that I can start doing it.
And then they put it off, like they don't do it.
I don't know how to do that yet. I really should get to learning that so I can do it, or I really should. And then they'll make excuses like, I'll give you an example. Making videos for your website or your internet or your Facebook page. I really should get a better camera. I really should blah blah blah. I really should do whatever because I want to do it, but I don't have what I need. I'm not good enough at it to do it. I I don't have all the...
I need to do
I know
it,
I need to do it, but I can't.
Yeah.
That is just rooted in self-confidence and nothing else. The bottom line is we all have smartphones. We can make videos. We can throw stuff on Facebook. We can do all that. That's just an example of something that people put off.
And they're not going to be perfect. I mean, I popped on live last night and I was like, what is wrong with my phone? Like, I just kept going. And
the bottom line is if you're not good at something and if you have lacked the confidence that you're good at it, it's never going to improve if you don't just get out there and do it.
Right.
You have to do it, and you have to accept the fact that it's possible that you might suck at it a couple of times until...
But you also might be amazing at it.
Yeah, and you might surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Because that happens more than not, actually.
I think so, too.
And actually, the satisfaction of completing it, even if it's not that good.
Or the relief even, you're like, oh, right. I made it.
I did it one time.
Yeah.
You did an experiment with, not an experiment, but you did an exercise with some people that you were training about, do a video. Because people have this, we bring up the video thing because people have such a hard time with it. And people they were like, oh my goodness, I did it once, and now I think I can do it all the time.
Right.
You surprise yourself. So just commit and do it.
Right.
And that would be the first step.
Yeah, and to
whatever it is.
Alleviate some of that. So we keep bringing up video, so we can talk about video even. Even these things that we do, they're pretty off the cuff, but it's not that there wasn't some preparation involved. Right. Whether that was a conversation or we learned something new, but we tend to always kind of chat about it first, and then we literally pop on video and it catches me off guard and asks me to share a personal experience, and you know, all of that is pretty off the cuff.
But there have been times where we've tried to do it unprepared, and it has failed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been stuff that you've seen, you've not seen, because we're like,
you've not seen,
because we're like, we didn't prepare this properly, and we failed. So if you don't prepare,
you set yourself up for failure.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then that's like this terrible cycle of if you're failing at something, you're never going to build confidence in it.
That sucked. I'm not going to do that again.
So if you're prepared a little bit more, then you're going to have more success, and then you're going to have more confidence in it, and you want to get that balance. And I keep saying balance, so this is a balance because you want to have self-confidence, because not being confident is something is never going to bring you success. And on the flip side, you can't be arrogant about things and think you know it all. Like, always be coachable and wanting to learn.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to learn.
Yeah, there's a line to ride right there. Yep.
You know, and if we're talking about video too, not only do you want to be prepared, but you can also, you know, kind of evaluate yourself and take that as you need to, because that's something I couldn't do. I wasn't confident watching myself on video. So when we started this series, we would record it, and Dylan would edit it, and he would give it to me to upload, and I wasn't even allowed to watch it because I would have nitpicked myself to death. And like, oh, I wish we wouldn't have said that. And my biggest thing, I always say that, like, I sound so country. Do I sound that country? And you're
like,
yeah.
You do sound that country.
So I've just embraced it. And you know, we laughed. There's, we'll take pictures. I encourage the people I work with to take pictures because it's more about yourself. And you know, we're selling makeup products, and your friends want to see it on yourself, is what I tell them. Anyway. But on the flip side of that, somebody reached out to me. They were going to use my picture for something, and they were like, well, tell me what picture you want me to use. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just pick one. Like, I don't know where you're headed, like what your plan is. Just pick one. And she was like, well, you don't want to pick it? And I was like, no. She was like, oh my gosh, that is the hardest decision. And she's going on and on about picking out a picture. And I was like, you know what? I could tell you what my favorite is. I could tell you which ones I like. But the bottom line is, all of them look just like me. Like, it's a picture of me. It looks like me. What difference does it make? So you have to decide if that's good for you or not. Like, some people are never satisfied with themselves or over judgmental. But it is a good practice to watch yourself so that you can pick up just like that. Like, I would like to eliminate those from my conversation. And the only way to see that is when you hear it play back. Right. I don't realize I say it so much in conversation.
And then that brings us to the next point, though. is the other way you could accidentally set yourself up for failure is by striving for so much perfection in everything that you do that you're like, well, none of it's good enough to let out into the world.
Right.
You know, this video's not
true.
good enough. This picture's not good enough. This music's not
Right.
good enough. You could pick yourself to death because you want it to be so perfect. And
Yep.
the bottom line is, and we've found this from experience, the less perfect it is, the more people identify with it and the more they love it.
Right.
They ask us for videos of wacky random stuff like cooking
Absolutely.
breakfast. They want to see random stuff. They want to see you being human, doing whatever you do. They don't want to see perfect because nobody's perfect. So don't strive for it. Like, try to be better every time.
Absolutely.
But don't worry if you're not perfect.
And that little voice in your head, like, what is it telling you? If don't let it be a negative voice.
And I'm not kidding, for the first time you put yourself out into the world on social media or wherever doing whatever you're doing, just one take it, man. Hit record, hit and
Live. I just tell people to go
do it
live.
live. Yeah, because there's no excuses
Facebook Live to me
Yep.
was like an eye-opening thing.
Yeah.
Even for myself. We were already doing videos.
Even last night with the thing on your lens, we did a Facebook Live last night,
Yeah.
and it had a little foggy spot on the lens, and she's trying to clean it off live, and she watches it afterwards, and she's like, "This is so dumb." I'm like, "It doesn't
I was
matter. It's
cracking up,
hilarious."
though.
You know,
And it doesn't matter. It didn't.
no.
Whatever. You know, people are following you and you have an audience probably for a reason. It's because they want to connect with you. So just don't have that fear.
Yeah, and so this brings us kind of to the last point in building self-confidence. Not the last, it's the last thing we'll talk about in this video, but is instead of, we talk about a couple of ways where you can accidentally set yourself up for failure, make sure that you are replacing those moments with setting yourself up for success. And what we mean by that is, instead of shooting for the moon every time, instead of shooting for perfection in everything that you do and saying, you know what, I'm gonna start this business and I'm gonna make so much money by X date and I'm gonna quit my real job and I'm gonna do, you set all these huge goals that could be attainable.
Right.
I'm not saying they're not, but if they aren't, then all of a sudden you view yourself as a failure and then you decide that you don't want to do it anymore.
And it also it's harder to track. So if you
Right.
set smaller goals,
Smaller,
that
attainable,
you
trackable
are
goals.
accomplishing, and you're like, yes, I did this, and then it encourages you and builds your self-confidence to go for the next step.
And depending on where your self-confidence is about a certain thing, is going to determine the size of the goals. I mean, you might be able to say, by the end of the month, I want to do X or Y. Well, if you don't have enough confidence to do that, then maybe by the end of the week, I want to do X or Y. If
Right.
you don't have that much confidence, then maybe it's, by the end of today, I want to do this. Or before lunch, I want to put up a Facebook
Right.
video. Or whatever it is.
Allow yourself to succeed.
Correct.
So
Like,
that you can
make
start
it to
building
where
that
you can
confidence.
actually succeed. Because
Right.
the one time you do it, and it pays off,
Yep.
and the sooner you do it, and it pays off, from right now, the better
Yep.
it will be, and the faster it will build.
And it's one of those things too, like anything, like going to the gym, whatever, you know, the quote that comes to mind is like, yesterday you said today. Like,
Right. Don't let that happen again. Yep. Anyway, my name is Dylan,
I'm Leslie.
and this has been Music at Mascara in the Car. We will talk to you next time.